welcome to the third episode of the Dose podcast. Well, first, I'd like to say thank you again to everyone who's been sharing it, been liking, commenting, subscribing to the YouTube, downloading from Spotify. All of that, all the support is crazy. And the scary thing is, we're only just getting started. We're only just getting started. With 3 episodes in, imagine what it's going to look like 50, 100, 150 episodes into this stuff. And we've barely been speaking about anything so far. These are all like introduction kind of stuff. We're going to go crazy, but again, a little introduction. So I'm T, I'm the owner of Yak, and I'm with my mentor, Tony.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is a disclaimer. The shit that we're about to kick tonight is raw, uncut dope. And I gotta warn you guys to be careful how you handle it, because I don't want to be responsible for the death of a nigga that can't handle it.
Or for entertainment purposes only. This is all hypothetical, and it's nothing that either of us have ever done, obviously.
For all you police motherfuckers listening. And you know what? You gotta go ahead and like and subscribe too on the YouTube, because that shit really gets you the reach, you know? And if you guys believe in this shit like we believe in it, then you want other men to know about this, because if you believe in having it a certain way, then you believe in men having it a certain way. The other man is not your enemy. You got to see it like that. They might be your competition, but they're not the enemy. If you believe in a man having it a certain way, you believe in this male dominant shit, you believe in this dominion over the earth shit on behalf of a man, you believe in that shit in general. When I see a woman dogging her dude, when I see a woman being disrespectful to a man, I don't think, why does he let that shit happen? I think, who does this bitch think she is? You know, I'm against that shit. You catch me at the wrong time, I might put someone else's bitch in check, because I believe so strongly in this shit. I ain't gonna let someone else fuck it up. You know, so if you guys believe in this shit like we believe in it, you believe in it like you're supposed to, and you say you do, then you guys definitely need to start liking and subscribing and share this shit with your friends, man. Each one teach one. There ain't nothing better you can do for your people than to show them what we're over here talking about.
For real, they'll be thanking you for years down the line. Like, damn, you put me on with the dose, bro. You put me on to, damn, that episode, they was going crazy. That's the kind of stuff that your mates will be saying. But the funny thing is, what you're just saying about the woman disrespecting her man, and then you be seeing it like, damn, kind of thing. This past week, there's been 2 occasions. I don't know if you've seen them, but there's been one with Tyrese, the guy who was on Fast and Furious, where his girl was on the Instagram Live saying, but she never actually wanted Tyrese, she wanted Paul Walker. And like, you can see the look on his face, he's kind of shocked. And I mean, that's on him for not keeping it player at all times. But that's been one occasion. There's been another one by a football manager called Julian Nagelsmann. And he was the manager of a huge football club, but then he got sacked because, I mean, the club hasn't been performing as well as it's supposed to, but at the same time, his girl was leaking the team sheets to German papers. So that's just 2 examples of this past week of women in a man's life, so like not respecting them, and as a result, it's kind of, you just see it on public display, like it's almost like a humiliation ritual. I mean, they're just being hung out to dry because they don't have the girl in check, or because they might have been getting a little bit too comfortable, getting a little too soft. It's just a reminder for all of you out there, you always got to keep it player, bro. I remember Dante Nero said you have to be consistently inconsistent. The moment that a woman gets comfortable, it's a wrap. Because then she knows the kind of things that you're going to do, the kind of things you're going to say, and she's going to start thinking that, oh, okay, I can get ahead on this guy. And I don't know if we talked about it before, we probably have on a different episode, but you always have to stay ahead. You always have to stay 10 steps ahead. The grandmasters in chess, they're the ones who are 10 steps ahead, 20 steps ahead, and they're thinking, okay, if the opponent goes there, I'm going there. If the opponent does this, I'm doing that. That's what you have to be doing, not only with women, but in every aspect of life. You have to have everything planned out, everything orchestrated, so you know exactly, okay, boom, I'm going to do this, and okay, if that messes up, I'm going to do that. You always have to keep it playing, bro. But I know that's just a little introduction. I mean, we're already going crazy, but I know, Tony, you had some stuff you want to speak about, so go crazy.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm going to speak about what you was just speaking about now that you got it going. That whole shit with the Tyrese situation. Now, see, I'm an old motherfucker. I remember Tyrese from being a singer. If that tells you how fucking old I am. That, I don't know if you know this, you young motherfuckers, but that nigga actually used to make music. Maybe y'all don't know that, but that was a singer at one point. That's how I know him. Not saying, you know, all R&B motherfuckers are soft just because you're singing music about love. But, you know what I mean? In his case, that motherfucker takes crazy L's. You know, he's always taking L's like that. But my point is this: if you start off that way, that's how it's gonna happen. The way you end up in that situation with the bitch is by letting that shit slide. You know, you gotta start shit off a certain way. I've already said this before, I think, in another episode, but you gotta believe in having shit a certain way. You gotta believe in having your bitch a certain way. You also gotta know how much you're willing to deal with from this bitch. You know, that's not just in the sense like, how much am I gonna let her get away with me? When I say how much you're gonna deal with this bitch, it's like, say you walk up to a bitch you don't know, you know, you're trying to get at her. You gotta already know, I'm gonna give this bitch 3 minutes to decide if she's gonna give me her number or not, if she's fucking with me. You gotta have that shit thought out beforehand. You gotta think proactively, not reactively. If you go up to that bitch and you don't have a plan on how you're gonna approach her, you don't have a plan on how much you're willing to put in, how much effort you're willing to put in, then everything you do is gonna be reactive to her. And if you're reactive to her, she's the leader. She's got the dynamic. That's how you keep the dynamic. You already have all this shit thought out before you even get at her. I don't even gotta know who this bitch is, but I know how much I'm gonna put into this bitch. Investors are the same way. These motherfuckers know I'm gonna put such and such amount of money into Apple. If Apple drops below a certain number, I'm getting the fuck out. You know, they already know that shit because they take themselves serious because it's their money. So they take it very serious. They also take their time very serious. You don't see Elon Musk at the bar. You know, you don't see no motherfucking Bill Gates, you know, at his kid's fucking little league game. No, he's got big shit to do. You know, he treats himself big. You got to treat yourself big. You got to believe in yourself to that point. But getting into like what this means with dealing with the bitch, you got to know your limit. And that don't mean this bitch gets to act however she wants to act and you just gonna deal with it. That's being reactive. You guys got to think being proactive. You got to think everything you do, setting it up a certain way to have this bitch reacting to how you're doing it. In a relationship, you gotta know how you talk to this bitch. You gotta believe in talking to a bitch a certain way. You gotta believe in having dominance a certain way. Now we'll get into how this all ties into that Tyree shit in a second, but I'm gonna touch on that. You guys gotta know, this is how I talk to my bitch. This is how my bitch answers me. I mean, if a bitch says yeah, I'm gonna say, hold on, bitch, say yes. As a matter of fact, say yes, daddy. Say yes, sir. Every once in a while, you gotta have it like that. Just like you were saying, be consistently inconsistent. You gotta have that level of coldness. You gotta have that level of the bitch never thinks you're beyond breaking up with her ass, yelling at her ass, putting her in check. She never has it in her head that she's sure of you. That's the day you lost a bitch, is when she's sure of you. When she's sure she can be disrespectful and you won't check that shit. Whatever checking that shit means, I won't tell you how to check a bitch. You know, maybe later, but you guys ain't ready for that shit for sure. You ain't even got a bitch yet. But and that's funny too, because when I say you guys ain't got a bitch, you're probably thinking, oh, I got a girlfriend. No, 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 no. You have a girlfriend. You ain't got a bitch. If you can't tell your girl, I'm not saying you gotta do this, but if the thought of telling your girl, hey, come over here, bitch. If the thought of saying that to her scares you, then you ain't got a bitch. You know, you don't have her. You have a relationship. You don't have her. Catch that. You have a relationship. You don't have a bitch. I have a bitch. I have property. This bitch is property. This bitch is subordinate to me. She understands that shit. That's how you start. You don't start off on some equal level playing field shit and then just talk a bitch into being beneath you. And I don't mean beneath you like we're better than these bitches or nothing like that. I'm not trying to say, oh, you know, women are below us and blah, blah. I'm not even saying that shit. I actually happen to love bitches. I love women, you know, and I'm not even saying you have to walk up to your bitch and say, hey, bitch, come here. But you got to be able to say, hey, bitch, come here. I do. And the only way you really know is what? If you do it. But you motherfuckers are so caught up in keeping it delicate with the bitch. You know, everything is delicate with you. If you disrespect her, she's going to leave. You cuss her out in front of her mom, she's going to leave. You know, she finds out you're messaging another bitch, she's going to leave. You know, you call her out her name, she's going to leave. You call her a fat stinking bitch, she's going to leave. I'm not saying you got to talk to the bitch that way, but I'm saying if it scares you, if the thought of that scares you to check your bitch, then you ain't really got her. You motherfuckers are going to get some lessons from me about having the bitch instead of having her pussy, how to actually have the bitch. Because here's what you motherfuckers don't realize. You go out and you try to get a bitch for her pussy or for her to be your girlfriend or something, whatever your goals are. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, T. You ever seen a bitch leave her pussy at home?
I haven't.
You ever been to a bitch's house and she got a special drawer she keeps her pussy in?
I haven't seen that.
Nope. That pussy goes with her wherever she goes, right?
Real still.
Let me ask you something. If you had a bitch, right, and you wanted some of her money, and she told you her money was at home in a drawer, what would you do?
We going home.
Going home to grab that money, right?
Yep.
So her pussy goes with her wherever she goes. And even if she leaves her money at home, you can take her back to get her money. Well, what do you got to do in order to have it like that? You got to have that bitch. You got to actually have her. So see, here's the thing. These motherfuckers, they get so caught up in trying to get that pussy that they don't get caught up in trying to have that bitch. When you have that bitch, you get everything that comes with her and more, depending on how deep you got her. I believe in ownership of a bitch's mind, full ownership. That comes with having things a certain way. When you go into a relationship trying to have shit 50-50, you know, oh, we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend. When you go into a relationship when you go into this with the goal of having a relationship, you go into it with the goal of not having this bitch. And if you go into this with the goal of not having this bitch, how are you going to have this bitch? The truth is, you go into every one of these things with the goal of having this bitch. And for the girls that are only going to take a relationship, you got to let them go. You got to screen them bitches out and kick them off. You got to screen them bitches out. You go into this with the idea of having a bitch. Tyrese ain't never had. You think Tyrese has ever had a bitch in his life? With
Nah,
the shit you're
nah.
seeing?
He's just been famous, so he's had things coming to him.
No,
He hasn't developed them intangibles.
he ain't never had a bitch. He's had relationships,
Yeah.
but he never had the bitch, you know, fully eyes, ears, mind, heart, body, you know, nose. He ain't never had a bitch enraptured like that. You can see it. Tyrese don't have a mentality like this bitch can only go so far before I boot her. He don't have a mentality of a bitch answering him a certain way. He don't have a mentality of talking to the bitch a certain way. You know, Tyrese knows if he doesn't do what his bitch wants him to do, she's leaving. He knows that. And he's still there. What does that say? And this comes down to you guys. You guys got to know what you're willing to put in, what you're expecting out. And how do you do that? You got to know who you are, man. How do you know what you want if you don't know who you are? How can you know what you want, what will satisfy you? A lot of you motherfuckers don't know this, but you've lived your whole life thinking you wanted things a certain way. And if you were to really just sit down and think for a minute of actually having those things and what it would take to get there, you would realize a lot of things that you want, you don't really want. It's too much work, or it's just not who you really are. We're just told to think we want a certain thing a certain way. But in reality, it's because we don't know who we are. You got to know who you are. Not only that, you got to know who you are so you can believe in yourself. I don't care if you believe in Plato, Aristotle, Andrew Tate, Nietzsche. I don't care who you say you believe in. You better believe in yourself way more than you believe in those motherfuckers. And belief is a tricky word because the truth is, I could damn near confidently say that none of you guys really believe in yourself. Now you could say, oh, I believe in myself. You know, you can make the argument by your standards. You can make the argument. But let me tell you about belief versus thinking something. The only belief you guys might have is like belief in God because you can't see it, but you believe it. And even then, that's a whole nother thing I'll get into in a second. So belief is something you're willing to die for, but it's also something you're willing to live for. If you say you believe in this game that we're teaching you, but you're not going out and doing the things that we're telling you to do, you're not going out and you're making the conscious decision right now Like, I'm going to adapt my life based on this new information that I'm hearing, and it's sounding like it'll work. So I'm going to give this shit a try. If you're not moving it like that, then you don't believe in the information. So let me ask you guys, for all you guys that claim you're Christians, when people see you, do they see a Christian? When people talk to you, within a few minutes, do they say, oh, this guy must be a Christian? For all of you motherfuckers that are so-called players, do you exude a player? If I was to look at you right now, would I see a player? For all you Andrew Tate loving motherfuckers, has anything he ever said actually changed your life? I don't mean how you comment on bitches' Instagrams. I don't mean what you tell your friends on weekends. I mean, did Andrew Tate make you go out and start getting rich? Did Andrew Tate make you go out and start having bitches a certain way? Well, then you don't believe in what he's saying. Belief is when I believe it. If you believe it, I believe it. If I don't believe it from looking at you, then you don't really believe in it. How can you tell me you believe in God, but you don't follow God's commandments? You don't believe, you think it. You tell yourself you believe it because the word believe is the word that you've always used for this, and it's the word that other people use for it. But really, to break down what belief means you're believing it, you're following through, you're living that life. For the bodybuilding motherfuckers, a lot of these guys go to the gym. You can tell in the gym who's on their way to that $1 million physique. You can tell, you know what I mean, when you go to a sports game, who's really playing like Kobe, who's really putting in them hours, who's really grinding. That's who believes in it. If you're not living the lifestyle of what you're trying to achieve, you don't believe it. You say you believe it, you think it. Thinking and believing are two different things. If you say you believe in God, but you're not out here following the commandments exactly as you were told to do them. And it's funny because I'm going to break it down with something that Jesus actually said. Jesus said, I want to say it's Matthew 28. Jesus was having a sermon and he told them, many will come to me on the day of judgment and they will say, Lord, Lord. And I will say, I do not know you. And they will say, but we believed in you. We called on your name. We casted out demons in your name. We preached your gospel in your name. And he's going to say, I do not know you, because if I knew you, my Father would know you. And if my Father knew you and you knew my Father, you would have done his works. Only he who follows these commandments and does the works will I know. What does that tell you about belief? That you can cast out fucking demons in the name. And if you're not following the commandments, you're not following through, you don't have belief. That's from Jesus said that. I want to say it's Matthew 28. I could be wrong, but he definitely said it. Pretty much that, not word for word, but roughly the point of the story is if you're not doing the works, you don't have the belief. You don't know it. You don't know God in this case. If you're not doing the work and you're not following the commandments, you don't believe in it. And the truth is, you know what you need to do. You know what your situation is. You know why that you're not getting the same results from these girls that you want to. You could turn me off right now and you could stop and you could look at yourself in the mirror and you could fairly evaluate yourself and you could say, the real reason that I'm not getting these bitches the way I want to is because my money's not right. The real reason is because my confidence isn't right. The real reason is because I'm a little bit fatter than I should be. The reason is because my teeth are all yellow. You know why. And yet that one thing that you know is the one thing that you're avoiding. You want to listen to us. And see, let me tell you guys something about the difference between a player and a square. A player and a square are different only in the way they listen to things. When a player listens, he listens to change his life. He listens in such a way that he's going to take this information and he's going to use it and he's going to get better. A square just listens for entertainment. And this is a whole generation of entertainment right here. All these podcasts, all these reels, all this shit I see, they ain't saying nothing. There's a whole bunch of motherfuckers talking and no one's really saying shit. No one's really breaking this shit down in a way that could really change your life. And that's what I'm trying to do with you guys, is break this shit down in a way that can change your life. So what I'm saying is this: how can you say you believe in God and you're not following his commandments? You're not doing the works that he has commanded you to do. How can you say that you believe in your success if you are not taking the steps that are pushing you towards success? Now, it's not that the belief is what makes the actions, or that actions is what makes the beliefs. It's both. You know, the book of James says faith without works is dead. It's very true, but it goes for more than just religion. Although it's, you know, a good enough sermon, you know, James, God rest his soul, was the brother of Jesus. So he knew, you know, he was very close and intimate with the Lord. So you guys need to realize, if he said faith without works is dead, and Jesus said faith without works is dead, what does that mean about this half-stepping that you're doing? You guys are lukewarm about everything. This is a generation that's lukewarm about everything. Even the information is lukewarm. Now you ask yourself, why is lukewarm information the one that's selling the most? Why are the motherfuckers that are out here telling you that you're weak and you need to get better and that it's possible for you to stop being so weak? You just got to get up there and do. Why do they got 1,000 views? You know, why do they got 500 views? Meanwhile, you got these motherfuckers that are telling you, oh, it's these women, it's these girls are trash. That's the reason we can't get married. Oh, we got to get our passports, bros, and we got to go to a third world country so a bitch that doesn't even speak the language in our country could listen to me. Bro, I guarantee you that bitch is going to be here 6 months before she runs the fucking house, dude. Because you're a punk if you think like that. Now, if you happen to meet a bitch in a third world country and she just happens to be what you want, okay, you know, do your thing, man, pimp. But if you're out looking for a girl in a disadvantageous position because you need to get leverage, that's really what it is. You need to get leverage on her. You're a punk, man. You're running away. You're closing doors. You know, you guys don't want to listen to motherfuckers that tell you to change your life. You want to listen to motherfuckers that tell you it's easy. You want to listen to motherfuckers that tell you it's these women. Oh, it's not you, bro. It's not you who's still watching porn. No, it's these women, bro. They're no good. OnlyFans has ruined them. TikTok has ruined them. You know, you think that this is the only time in history where it's been hard to deal with these bitches? Do you think these are new bitches? Do you think these bitches are any different from the bitches back then? You think people weren't raising babies that weren't theirs back then? Look, I'm going to tell you like this. As far back as we go from the time that we were hunting saber-toothed lions with fucking spears, you know, ask yourself that. Ask yourself if you could go hunting with a spear. Ask yourself if you could go running through the fucking forest with a blunt object and beat a deer over the fucking head with it. You know, ask yourself if you got it like that. You know, ask yourself if you're willing to go to fucking war for your country. You know, and these days that's a hard thought to accept because how fucked up all this shit is. But my point is, back then they used to go to war for the kingdom. They used to go to war for the family. They used to go to war for sport. Ask yourself if you're built like that. And then ask yourself why these bitches ain't treating you the way they treated your grandpa, the way they treated your great grandpa, the way they treated your great fucking grandpa. Guarantee everybody here is here because the motherfucker from the past was a bad motherfucker, man. You look back at the 1600s, 1700s, shit was rough. Shit ain't no harder. You guys really believe shit is harder today than it was back then. That's what you guys really believe. You believe that this shit and dealing with these bitches is harder today than it was back then. When you had to fucking work in a field for 20 years to go tell some motherfucker, here's 3 goats and a cow, let me marry your daughter. You know what I mean? That's how that shit was back then. And 3/4 of the motherfuckers never had kids. A whole bunch of motherfuckers nowadays are having kids. And you really think shit is harder now? No. The men of today are weaker. And these bitches are charging them for it. It's the same way I tell you guys. If you got a Gucci hat, you know, you got your little Gucci belt, got a little gold chain. When a girl looks at you, all she thinks is how she's going to charge you. It's not until she hears what you got to say that she says, oh, damn, this motherfucker is not who I thought he was. I better check myself and then come at him appropriately. When a woman looks at you, she thinks, what can I charge this motherfucker for? And if you look like you got money, that's what she thinks. How can I charge this motherfucker? It's not until you speak and you show her what you're about that she will change that mentality. Now, is that wrong? Does that make a bitch evil? We could go on all day about OnlyFans. We could go on all day about all this shit. But the fact is, does that make a bitch evil to be herself? When you watch the lion kill the deer, do you say that lion is being evil? The lion's just eating. That lion's just being a fucking lion. Let me ask you something, T. When is a lion not a lion?
When they're out of the jungle.
Yeah, but other than drugs and cages and fucking zoos, when would a lion not be a lion though?
When they're trying to be like something that they're not, they're trying not to be like their raw lion self, so to say.
Yeah, have you ever seen a lion not acting like a lion?
I haven't.
Would you get into a cage with the lion without the appropriate, you know what I mean? Medications, drugs, tranquilizer gun, whatever the fuck? Or would you respect the situation for what it was?
You gotta respect it because at the end of the day, it's still a lion. It still has that raw lion instincts inside it.
Yeah. So if we know these bitches are a certain way, should we cry about it? Should we say we need to get these lions to stop acting like lions? Or do we just handle the situation how we know we need to handle it?
Keep it player always.
Keep it player always. A lion don't ever stop being a lion. A tiger don't ever stop being a tiger, right? Only with a tree don't ever stop being a fucking tree. That tree, as long as there's some sun, some fucking water, that tree's always gonna grow. As long as there's a deer or whatever the fuck else is out there, that lion's gonna be a lion, that lion's gonna hunt. Only with us, only with humans were we given the dignity of a choice. And unfortunately, you motherfuckers are choosing not to be men. You guys are choosing, you guys are the lions that ain't acting like lions. You won't see that nowhere else in the animal kingdom. It's just with us. It's just with us. You see us not doing what we're supposed to do. And that goes back to what I said. You motherfuckers know exactly what you're supposed to do to change yourself. And you're avoiding that conversation. You're avoiding that conversation because that's a very hard conversation to have. And 99% of people don't ever have that conversation. But you guys need to realize that's the conversation that's going to decide if you know yourself or not. And if you're avoiding knowing yourself, the goods and the bads, so you can have that conversation later about how to improve yourself, how can you believe in yourself? If you can't believe in yourself now, believe in your progress, believe in your belief, believe in the fact you're going to get better and start getting better. And that right there is believing in yourself. Even if you're not super confident about where you're at right now, and you know you need some work, you need to believe in your process. At least you need to say, damn, look, man, I'm not where I want to be, but I could work a couple more hours at work, or I could pick up another little job. Man, I need to start listening to some affirmations. I know my confidence could use some work. Man, my hair's all fucked up. I need to just stop paying that little $10 to that barber and just start going to a real barber shop and paying that little 25 fucking dollars. Man, you know, my shoes are kind of fucked up, dude. I need to go do this. But you motherfuckers won't have that conversation with yourself because that's a hard conversation to fucking have. And the truth is, you know exactly what you need to do right now. There might be a couple things here and there. You don't know why your girl left about this, or you don't know what happened with this situation. Yeah, I mean, that shit happens. But my point being, you guys don't want to have that talk. You know, the truth is, you know exactly what you need to do to straighten up right now. But you won't do it. Why? Because you don't believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, man, no one's going to believe in you. You motherfuckers claim to believe in yourself, but do you seem inspired? Do you inspire others? You know, that's a question you got to always ask yourself. If you don't inspire yourself, you're not going to inspire others. And that's a big part of having a bitch a certain way, man. Tyrese, for all the money he's got, there's a lot of assumptions I can make about that dude, just based on how his life is. You know, there's a lot of assumptions I can make about him. There's a lot of assumptions I can make about his relationships, how he handles a bitch. Look, you motherfuckers don't know Tyrese. All you know is he got played by this bitch. What do you think the dynamic's like at home? You know what it's like. You know, you can imagine how those arguments go. I'm going out tonight. No, you need to stay home. You got a man, girl. Nigga, I'm going out. You know, I'm gonna do what I want. If you don't like it, oh well. That's how that conversation goes. That might not be word for word, but it's something like that. Why is it like that? Because that's how he's used to having it. He's used to having it that way. I'm the opposite. I'm used to having shit a certain way. And you know, that's based on who I am. And that shit could change too, but you gotta know who you are. For the good and for the bad. There's the good in all of us and there's the bad in all of us. But the truth is, you guys don't know yourself. But you can. Once you know who you are, you know what you like, you know how you want to have things, and then you can start thinking about how you want to have things from a bitch. When I go to approach a bitch, I go maybe 3 or 4 lines into the conversation. I'm already there. I already know how I'm going to walk up to her, how I'm going to look her in the eyes, how I'm going to grab her hand when I shake her hand and hold it for a second, squeeze it. I already know how I'm going to smile when I'm talking to her. I already know everything I'm going to say. I know how I'm going to approach. And then I know how I'm going to approach, whether she says yes or whether she says no, whether she says I got a boyfriend, whatever the fuck she says. If it's a yes or it's a no, I know what I'm going to say to either one of those. I've already got that figured out. I'm way ahead of the game. I'm being proactive, not reactive. You guys catching this? I'm being proactive. I'm not responding to what she's saying. I'm making her respond to what I'm saying. Something you guys got to realize, man, is when you're dealing with these bitches, a bitch's natural programming is to say no. That's her automatic response. A bitch basically just goes out to the club, dressed to the fucking nines, the best shoes she got, best little dress she got, the best her hair could be, the best her makeup could be. And her whole goal is to go out that night and to figure out how to say no as many times as possible. So you guys got to go in with that mentality. Like, this bitch is going to be throwing you some turbulence. She's going to be throwing you some resistance. You got to have that in mind. So when that resistance comes, you know how to handle it. T, let me ask you something, man. You ever walked up to a bitch, dropped your little game on her? Yeah, baby. I work like this and this for mine. And if you wanna fuck with that, baby, you could fuck with me. But if you're gonna fuck with me, you gotta fuck with me how I want to be fucked with. Has she ever said, well, yeah, you know what? I've always wanted it to be like that. And as a matter of fact, I might as well be like that with you.
I haven't had that happen to me personally, but I can understand from what you're saying how that kind of dynamic would take place. But at the same time, there's a difference between saying it and actually being in it and experiencing and realizing it's a completely different ballgame, completely different kind of thing that's happened in terms of, okay, I want to live like this, and you're actually living like this when she experiences what it's like. I mean, that's when tests and that's when everything else begins to transpire.
Definitely. So look, man, what I'm saying is this. You pop your shit a certain way. The bitch is designed to say no. It ain't because she's a bad person. It ain't even because she don't like you. It's just that's what she's designed to do. A tree makes leaves, a monkey scratches his ass, a lion hunts deer, and a bitch says no. That's what they do. It's nature. Don't hate them for it. It's just part of the game. Just like I tell a bitch, don't hate me for how I spit this shit. Don't hate yourself, bitch, for how you like it. But look, when you're dealing with this, you got to know this bitch is going to be trying to say no. So how do you get the bitch to not say no? You got to get the bitch to think, I don't want to tell him no. So the whole point of this prearranged conversation, like I was telling you, is this. You got to be controlling the thoughts she's having in her head. A bitch is very plus and minus. Everything a bitch does is in pluses and minuses. But you got to think everything you're saying is putting a certain thought into this bitch's head. Whether you realize that or not, everything you say and how you say it is putting a certain thought in this bitch's head. So if you're over here coming up to her with that energy, like, I don't know what this bitch is about to say, well, she knows what she's about to say, and it's going to be no. And that's just your fault. But what I'm saying is this. I walk up to the bitch who's already thinking about saying no with that energy, like, yeah, bitch, I know you hate to love me, but regardless, bitch, you love me. And I put that energy into her mind. And when I talk to her, I don't just come in and say, hey, I want things a certain way. Say I've been talking to a bitch for like a day or two. You know what I mean? And I want to have that pussy. I don't just say, hey, baby, I want that pussy. She's going to say, oh, well, she's got to throw some static. She's got to throw some resistance. So what do? Baby, the way you're talking to me is just doing something to me right now. You know, as much as I'd love to have you, I need to have your ass in the mind first. Long before you fuck that bitch's pussy, you fuck her mind. So what I'm saying is this: you have to make that bitch want sex. You don't tell the bitch, I want sex. You make her want sex. And when you plant those seeds in her head, say the seeds, for example, to make her want sex, her next thought is, I want to fuck this dude. And then from that point on, everything that she does is towards that. You plant a woman's ambitions. A woman is a computer. Really, that's a great analogy. A woman is a computer, and you're entering the pluses and the minuses. Well, ideally, you know, that's how it's supposed to be. You're entering the thoughts. You're programming what she's supposed to do with your innuendos, with your conversation. You don't ever talk just to talk. You need to always be playing. You need to always be playing. You need to always have an intention behind what you're saying. I don't ever just swing just to swing. You know, I'm trying to knock a bitch out with my words. You know, look at them boxers. You think them boxers just swing just to swing? Hell no, they swing to knock your ass out. You know, it's like being a batter. You think them baseball motherfuckers go up there and swing that bat just to swing? Hell motherfucking no, they don't just swing just to swing. They want to knock that home run. Every time they hit that ball, they swinging for a home run. Every time a boxer hits your ass, he's hoping for a knockout. That's how you need to be with your conversation. You need to know. And this goes back again to having your thoughts out, knowing exactly what you're going to put into this girl, knowing exactly what you expect out. You got to have a goal in order to lead her to a goal. And if you don't have a goal, you're going to end up getting washed ashore. You know, the bitch's resistance is going to push you back. You know, your game got to be stronger than her resistance. Your goal got to be stronger than her goal. Her goal is to say no. Your goal is to get her to say yeah. You know, whoever wins is going to be whoever had more game. If you can't out-talk your bitch and you can't outthink your bitch, you ain't never going to have that bitch. But good for you guys. Most bitches don't ever think about no shit like this. You know, very rarely is a bitch this sharp. So you guys need to think, man, what do you want from this bitch? Where do you want this to go? How do you expect her to treat you? How do I catch this bitch? How do I enrapture this bitch? Now, let me explain something to you guys. When you talk to a woman, she's actually going to tell you everything you need to know to catch her. See, do you remember when I told you this, man? That if you just listen to what a bitch says, she's actually telling you everything that you need to know to catch her. She gives you all the little clues. Do you remember when I told you that shit?
Yeah.
Yep, no doubt. I'm telling you guys, a bitch will tell you everything you need to know in order to catch her. A bitch will say something like, oh, you're so nice. That's cool. To be honest, all the dudes I've ever fucked with were real cold. What is that telling you? That you need to be cold to have this bitch. Now, if you're not sharp enough to catch what she's saying, well, then, you know, you guys definitely need to pick up my book. You guys need to pick up some more tease material. You guys need to go back to square one if you can't catch some shit like that. But a bitch says something like, all the dudes I've ever messed with were cold, were mean to me. That bitch is telling you, you need to be cold, dude. That's what she's really saying. You might think, because you're inexperienced, oh, she likes me and all the other guys were assholes. This should be easy. No, no, that's not what she's saying. She's saying you need to be cold to have that bitch. And you look at this shit too. You know, you look at these girls and how they deal with these guys. And you see these girls and they say, oh man, my ex, he was an asshole and he was controlling and he didn't let me go nowhere. He used to bully me and take my money and he used to just stay at home and not do shit. And I always had to do everything. He never had to do nothing. Blah, blah, blah. Well, damn, bitch, how long were you with this nigga? Oh, like 7 years. Okay, fuck. Whatever happened to the other dudes you had, girl? That one guy, you know, worked a job, loved you, took care of your kid, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I just wasn't attracted to him like that. I just couldn't deal with it. I had to break up with him. You know, what does that tell you? It's not so much about being mean to a bitch, it's about being cold. You gotta be able to be cold with the bitch. Part of being cold with the bitch is not being scared to lose her. You know, I believe firmly in myself. I believe firmly in what I want. And I'll tell a bitch, you ain't gotta fuck with me, bitch. But if you're gonna fuck with me, you gotta fuck with me how I want to be fucked with. You know, it's all game with me, baby. This is my way or the motherfucking highway. And your ass looks damn good coming up to me, but you probably gonna look just as good walking the fuck away, bitch. Just know you will never be as blessed as when you was fucking with me. Yeah, bitch, you fine, but you was finer with me. You gotta believe that shit firmly. That it's gotta be your way. You gotta believe in your way. Now, how many of you motherfuckers know what your way is? How many of you have really sat down and thought, what is my way? How do I have it? How do I keep it with the bitch? You know, how many of you motherfuckers have even thought that thought or even known you can have it that way? Well, the truth is you can, you know, and the more you guys listen to us, you're going to start to see how you can have it that way, how you can have it your way. You know, your way and my way might not be the same thing, but regardless of what your way and my way are in difference, if you believed in having something a certain way and then you got that shit that way, hey man, you had it your way. You know, if you really just want to have 3 kids and a nice house and a wife that loves you and a dinner on the table, if that's what you fucking wanted, there's no shame in that. All that really matters is you believed in yourself, you believed in having things a certain way, and baby complied with that. That's all that really matters. And even then, you got to think deeper than that. You got to think about how she's going to make that dinner, how she's going to raise that kids, how she's going to talk to you. You got to have these detailed thoughts. I went back a while back and I told you guys about systems, how successful people have systems for having things a certain way. Players have. A bitch got to keep it a certain way with me, you know, and I'll keep it a certain way with the bitch. That's the fair compromise. A bitch keeps it a certain way with me. I keep it a certain way with the bitch. Now, you're going to get some resistance, just like we were talking about resistance. But the point is, if you stick to what you was saying, she will fall into place. If you were being a leader, if you are being a leader, there's not many places you cannot lead a bitch to. A bitch will damn near follow you anywhere if you're a leader. You know, if she believes in you because you believe in you, there ain't really many places that you can't lead a bitch. And take it from me. You guys know what I used to do. You guys know what I was about. You know, you probably could never imagine having multiple bitches under one roof, all crazy about you, all paying you money, you know, and this is all for entertainment purposes. You know what I mean? This is all for pure entertainment purposes. Everything I say is just entertainment, but you guys can't imagine having it that way, you know, but it's real. Whether you can imagine it or not, I imagined it and I made it happen. There's nothing short of what you guys can accomplish, but you got to leave the bitch there. And if you don't believe in it, you ain't going to lead her. Are you inspiring? Do you inspire yourself? Do you inspire others? Do you inspire belief? Why not? Because you don't believe. So what I'm saying is this. These bitches are going to give you resistance. It's going to come in different levels. You can't have game that's designed to fight off, you know, 2s and 3s. You can't have the kind of game that's going to say, okay, you know, as long as a bitch don't give me too much shit, then, you know what I mean? I'll be all right. No. You got to have game for every level. Because sometimes you might run into a bitch that just went a little crazy one day. What happens if a bitch loses her cool with you? What are you going to do? You know, if you had a bitch that's generally a good bitch, but then one day she just loses her shit, you got to know how to deal with that situation, dude. You got to know when to just grab a bitch by the chin, make her look you in the eyes and be like, look, bitch, calm the fuck down. Sit your ass down. I'm going to walk out this room. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to huff and puff. And then I'm going to come back in this room and you're either going to be behaving or I'm going to send your funky ass on with $20 for an Uber. Now I'm going to walk out the room and I'm going to come back in 3 minutes and your ass is going to be done doing all the huffing and puffing. You can shut the fuck up because I got some calls to make. You just walk away. You got to know how to have it like that. You got to have game for different levels. You know, if the bitch jumps up and gives you a 5, you got to jump up and give her a 6. If a bitch jumps up, grabs your phone, and throws it across the room, you got to grab a fucking chair and throw it through the window. You know, a bitch grabs your fucking wallet and throws it at you, you got to throw the bitch across the room. You know, this is all for entertainment purposes, but you got to be able to outdo the bitch. You know, life is a theater. These bitches love that drama, dude. All the shit that you think you're not supposed to do is exactly the reason I still have a bitch. Because these bitches love the drama, bro. Everything about them is the drama, the romance, and the excitement. So you got to know how to work all three of those things in. But that's a lesson for another day. Remember, I told you that, T? The three things you need to have a bitch forever is drama, romance, and excitement.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need love. They don't need money. That's all they need is the drama, the romance, and the excitement. But getting back into this shit that I'm kicking right here proper. Look, man, you have to know how to handle different levels of turbulence with the bitch. That's part of having her. So to backtrack a little bit, you guys need to believe in yourself. You need to get to know yourself, the good and the bad. You need to have that conversation, knowing what you need to do, the work you need to do in order to accomplish what you think, what you believe. Then you got to think about how much you're going to put into these bitches. From the start, from the first conversation, she got such and such amount of time to decide if she wants to fuck with me. Then you have the conversation with baby. Baby, you don't have to fuck with me, but if you're going to fuck with me, you got to fuck with me how I want to be fucked with. Just don't waste my fucking time. I ain't going to hit you. I ain't going to hurt you. But you ain't going to waste my fucking time. Hey, and if the bitch ain't going with it, buy her a drink. Because she did you a favor not wasting your fucking time. The best favor a bitch could ever do is not wasting your fucking time. Now, if that bitch didn't waste your time within the first 30 seconds of you meeting her, dude, that bitch did you a solid. And you should buy her a drink. You know, that's the bitch you should buy a drink. Bitch that shot you down and said, hey, look, you're just not what I'm looking for. And let me tell you guys something about that. You walk up to a bitch, hey, baby, what's up, blah, blah, blah. You know, my name is so-and-so. I seen you from across the way, and I just wanted to come over here and roll out my motherfucking pedigree, show you what I'm about, show you how we do it out here. Oh, you know what? I got a boyfriend. Hey, well, that's cool, baby. So, anyways, how old are you? I was going to ask, I got a boyfriend. Okay, look, honey, blah, blah, blah. As a matter of fact, my car's outside. You want to go talk? Man, you are crazy. You just don't listen, huh? What's your name? You know what I mean? That's how it be. Anything but no is yes. Anything but no is yes. That's a hard lesson for some of you guys because, first of all, you're scared to death of no. But anything but a hard no is yes. And, when I was in the game, I used to tell these girls, yeah, baby, so I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And, the only kind of woman that could really satisfy me is a woman who's going to bring that money in. Well, I hope you don't think I'm going to be doing that. Look, baby, how much do you make at your job? Well, 15 an hour. But you just told me that you're worth more than that. You just told me that you couldn't put a word on you. Well, the motherfuckers you work for, they sure seem to think that 15 hours is exactly what you're worth. And now that I'm seeing it, I don't really see any disagreements. Now, do you want to be able to decide what kind of freedom you have in this life? Do you want to be able to decide how the interaction goes? Do you want to have control of your life for the first time? Do you want to be the boss and to not have to look back and to answer to nobody? Or do you want to go back to that boss and make $15 an hour? Trust me, dude. If that girl was a hard no, as soon as you told her that shit, you got to be a hoe to fuck with me, baby. Fuck you. Hangs up. Click. Or, I got a boyfriend. There's a big difference between I have a boyfriend and I got a boyfriend. When she says I got a boyfriend, bitch ain't fucking with you. When you tell a girl certain things got to be a certain way, she's either going to say, no, fuck that. Or she's going to say, but I don't want that. That's not what I want. Or I could never, but anything but no is yes, if you got the game for it. But you motherfuckers are so quick to try to close a door or to let a bitch close a door on you. The old salesmen back in the day, the ones that used to have to go door to door, people would close the door on them and they would put their foot in the door and they would be like, wait a minute, ma'am, if I could just have 10 more seconds of your time, I want to tell you about this offer that we have going on right now. And then he'll be like, what's the offer? Now this bitch was just closing the door, but now she wants to hear the offer. And then just by chance, he'd say, well, actually, ma'am, we have a 15% off, and then he'll start slowly opening the door, and then he'll walk into that house. And that's what's called having your foot in the door. Having your foot in the door is walking through that door. You got to be able to take a no and turn it into a yes. You guys got to be able to turn losers into winners. You got to be able to take a losing hand and turn it into a winning play. And it's the same thing with these bitches. You got to know how to turn some losers into some winners, baby. You got to be able to look at these bras and instead of seeing who she is today, see who she can be in 3 months of fucking with you. And what does that take? That takes belief in your game, belief in yourself, belief in your process, belief in being the leader. You got to go back to those things. You dig what I'm saying? You got to go back to that belief. That belief is the seed of all things. And if you remember what the Bible says about faith sufficient to a mustard seed will grow to be the biggest plant in the garden. That little bit of belief will grow into many things. Now, do you have that belief at all? Not if you're not manifesting it. If you don't have the things to show me to where I can see it or anyone can see it, then you don't have the belief. You don't have the actions. You don't have the work. But once you have that belief in yourself, in who you are, in what your process is, and how you have things, and how you know to have things, that bitch will fall into place. Shit will fall into place for you and with you. You will have shit your way. And that's all I got. What's up with you, T?
I'm just gonna wrap it all up with a quote from John Jones. So it says, "I really believe in my whole heart that I was chosen by God Himself to be an undefeated fighter. I don't believe that I was designed to lose. I may have close fights, but I truly don't believe it's possible for me to lose." And if you don't know who John Jones is, just go watch his fight from a few weeks ago, where he's been out of the UFC for 3 years and he tapped Cyril Gane, one of the best heavyweights in the division, out within 2 minutes. And that just sums up what belief is in a nutshell. I always talk about on my account on the act about that you should genuinely be delusional in your beliefs and who you believe you are and who you believe you will become. They're two different things in the sense of who you believe you are, about something that's happening in the present. And that's the kind of thing which is contingent upon your current habits, your current perspectives. But at the same time, if you're going to become the man who you want to become, you're going to become the man who you believe you will become, that requires a whole different set of perspective, a whole different set of beliefs, because obviously you have to be elevating them. That's not the case of you won't be taking some stuff with you. You'll be taking your principles, as I always say, be stubborn with your principles, but flexible in your beliefs. Taking those principles with you, but the beliefs are changing, whether it's so the whole idea of, so some people 10K a month is a great month, for others 10K a day is a bad day. Like you'll be constantly elevating, or you should be constantly elevating. But yeah, just as that John Jones quote said, I truly don't believe it's possible for me to lose. If you can genuinely internalize that and apply that to your life, things will just start falling to your lap. Things will just start being handed to you on a silver platter because you genuinely believe that things should be handed to you on a silver platter. And that's the way this game goes. You're meant to be delusional. And being realistic is, it does nothing for you. And that's not to say you shouldn't ever be realistic again. Something I always say, be realistic where you are, but delusional of where you want to go. If you want to become a certain man, if you want to achieve certain things, you're going to have to be delusional. Do you really think those who went on to change the world, do you really think Stephen Jobs, when he was at Apple, when he first started Apple, that he thought, or he didn't think that Apple's going to be as big as it was? He planned that all out in his head. Do you not think Bill Gates, when he was building Microsoft, he didn't think that when he was in his garage creating computers that Microsoft was going to be as big as it was? He deluded himself to believe that. Same with Elon, same with Conor McGregor, same with John Jones. They all delusionally believe in themselves, where their beliefs become their reality, and the rest is history. And they're the people who have cemented their legacy throughout mankind, essentially. So that's just something you have to apply to yourself. You have to find out what you want to believe in and who you want to believe that you are, and then delusionally believe that as well. And the way you actually do that is in terms of having those accomplishments to confirm your delusions. So, for example, John Jones, he's what, like 26-0, 29-0, or he had that one, whatever, but we know he was going to win that fight. So he has all of those to his name. He has all those accomplishments to his name. He has the work that he put into the gym. He has everything. He has all those tangible results, which as a result becomes the intangibles. He has all those things which he has proof of, okay, I know I can do X, Y, Z. So as a result, his knowledge of knowing what that you can do, that you can fight, leads to his belief in that God doesn't want him to lose or God chose him to be an undefeated fighter. And those things kind of manifest together to the point where it's almost like you're unstoppable. Like you're literally unstoppable because you've genuinely deluded yourself to believe that you are this undefeated fighter. You are this, you can't lose, and that manifests in everything that you do, the way you move, the way you talk, the way you act. And I mean, as I said, John Jones, you can see it in him. Conor McGregor, he took the UFC from an average organization to one of the biggest fight organizations in the world. He's worth 9 figures. Tom Brady threw himself into becoming the greatest quarterback ever. Every single person who has achieved great success in their life has deluded themselves in some way, shape, or form. So you have to find out for you, what is it that you want to delude yourself into, and then double down on that. You need to have there's a whole notion of if a horse has blinkers on, all they're focused on is having the race or having whatever they have their goals on, what they set their sights on. But if you take the blinkers off your horse, then it can get distracted by anything, whether it's some person in the crowd cheering or whether it's a piece of food or whatever. So you need to put them blinkers on yourself. You need to put those almost like delusional lenses to where the only thing that matters is your goal, your purpose, the man who you want to become, and everything else from outside of that is essentially irrelevant. Obviously, you got your family and friends, you've got gym, whatever, but the main thing, the main reason that you are doing what you're doing and on a daily basis, waking up early, staying up late, all that kind of thing, is because you have those delusions in mind and you're going to, and notice I said you're going to turn those delusions into reality. That's something that you have to constantly do. And it's a never ending process. There'll be days to where you don't feel like waking up early. There'll be days to where you want to go sleep or you want to just not put in the work that day. Maybe you're feeling a little bit ill, you're feeling a little bit down, but that's the days when you really have to double down on who you are and who you want to become. And John Jones has a tattoo on his body which says Philippians 4:13. And for those of you who don't know, that means I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's not only is it one of the most powerful affirmations that you can say to yourself, but also just reiterating that belief in, you're putting it in an outside entity so it's not only for yourself, it's almost you're putting that trust, you're putting that faith into another being that is bigger than you. That is, again, you have that delusional belief that that being wants you to succeed because they know everything and they're more powerful than everyone, but you have that power behind you, you have that energy within you, that you go out and actually perform those acts. So thank you for listening to the 3rd episode of A Dose. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. If you're on Spotify, download it, send it to your mates, all that. And we'll see you for the 4th episode coming real soon. Peace.
Dig that.